Commissioners, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Would you please stand for a pledge? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Student advisory, we're skipping that tonight. It's recognitions.
Yes, sir. I think we have Ms. Wood. Would you like to present these?
I will. I would like to recognize Ms. Phyllis Colbert, who is the volunteer for, I think she was for the month of May. Ms. Phyllis has been volunteering in the Marston School Library for over 10 years. She is a former educator from California who followed her 2 children to Tennessee after her retirement. She is a member of the Marston Routine. Phyllis has worked at the Marston Public Library, and we became acquainted through my work at the library during the summer program. She found out that I did not have an assistant and decided she would volunteer to help. She has brought some great ideas with her from there. She has gotten me started covering my book jackets, which helps our books last longer. She comes 1 day a week to help with book processing and other jobs that need to be done. She has helped me weed and update the collection, assisted me with book fairs, holiday shop, and inventory. Several years ago, she took on the endeavor of upgrading my holiday shop by buying items throughout the year to sell in the shop. She has truly helped me get books processed faster so the students don't have to wait as long for a book to hit the shelf. As a former educator, she knows the importance of reading and encourages students to read and helps make them interested in the books she is processing. Phyllis was also a guest reader at last year's Family Reading Night event. She is a true example of a great volunteer. And I'd like to present this to Ms. Phyllis.
Thank you for all
Thank you very much.
all the help, and I think today's your anniversary, isn't that right?
Yes.
Years.
How many?
49.
Well, congratulations. Congratulations to you both.
What's the secret?
He's very patient.
Well, we appreciate everything you do and appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
And we really appreciate that. It's, former educators back, we may have to call you back into service.
No. But she's fun to work with.
Well, thank you both.
She's been a great help.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
I think Mr. Walker has the next.
Didn't bring my glasses, so let's make it tough.
I could,
I'd like to recognize Jacob Dunn tonight as our Educator of the Month. Jacob provides a learning atmosphere for his classroom and school. He shows a lot of knowledge through his Friday Shares, which is an update from our school and ed camp he uses. Jacob is a part of the leadership team, helping make decisions as we head toward the new academy model, who has also been selected into the principal pipeline. Jacob has shown a mentoring attitude with students that encourage them to achieve both academically and socially. So I'd like to recognize Jacob tonight. Thank you, Jacob.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I want to thank Mr. James Bennett. He's the one who gave me my job, too.
Down the road, you might wish to.
No, don't be talking like that.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, Mr. Cox, your operation report.
Okay. First item on that, we've been discussing our voice over IP, and Katrina's here. We've been going back and forth with that for a while, and continue to do so. So actually, with that, we have a meeting scheduled in the morning with Ben Lohman to discuss that with them. She has researched and got some information from E&A. We had this last RFP that we did, we had 3 bidders. We had one from North Carolina, we had Ben Lomond, and we had E&A. And we've kind of narrowed it down to those 2. One of the things that I have concern with is, how's it going to work for us? I know it works for other systems, but how's it going to work for us? And so I've asked them to see if we can pilot that in maybe the central office. I don't know really how that's going to work or how that looks yet, because that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. The E&A, we would probably want to talk with them in the same vein about how we did that. So really kind of looking at that. So I don't think we're ready to, I'm not ready to recommend, a decision to go that way yet. I think we need to have some more discussion on that. What I would like to do, and one of the things we're going to talk about tomorrow, is we have an opportunity to, the equipment that we have been renting for some time, and there has been some new equipment installed, but we would want to discuss that with them. But if we were to buy out that equipment, that would be around $5,246 is the equipment buyout. Then if we were to negotiate a lower rate with them, instead of a 1-year agreement to a 3-year agreement with our schools that are in the city, as well as our water maintenance agreement for all of the schools and the central office and maintenance, all buildings, we could recoup about $11,437 a month back into our budget. So that would save us $137,249 a year on phone costs. So while doing that, if we could take that and work toward moving toward voice over or upgrading our equipment, then I think that gives us money back in the budget that we can do that. We don't have to spend new money on that. But that's where I would like to start. I started that when we talked about this from the beginning, is let's get to ground zero, let's get the contract right, let's gather the money that we can gather back into the budget, work with Ben Lomond to do that. We would stay where we're at right now. One of the things that scares me is, let's say if we did jump into voiceover, something didn't go right, then we're there. And then I don't know how it's going to react to sending out an all-call with everybody. What are we going to do with, we still have to have phone lines in the schools for elevators, things of that type. I really don't know how that's going to work, but we have to, we'll still have to do that. But that would be my recommendation, is to not make a decision yet. Let's work on the contracts, bring the contracts back to the board, hopefully in July. We can start saving those funds while Katrina and I work on the research. And there will be some upfront costs from what we've seen, but she's working on that too, to see how much that would be.
So it would be the 5246 plus upfront.
Yeah, possibly. I know she's gotten probably more research. I don't know if you got the plan in from E&A.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
And we've not talked about that.
It's
so.
a little bit different from what I thought earlier today. But it looks like that if we went with E&A, the one-time cost would be $60,185. But if my technicians, my department, helped to take the phones and just simply plug them in the rooms, we could subtract $15,020 from that. And but then the monthly cost. Now this is what they redid today after going room to room, but we still, because it was, believe it or not, the other cost was a little bit more this time. Because they found some more that was going to add to our monthly, but they can't make it more, so we'd have to go back to that original RFP, which was $7,000 something per month. And but if we did that, then there's a little bit of difference between the $60,000 and It was 66, so you're gonna, whichever one you want to take. But that's a one-time fee, so, it might be better to pay more the one time and take the lesser of the monthly, if that makes sense. And then the Ben Lomond, they know that, right?
Yeah, I think the Ben Lomond, let me get to my folder on that. Ben Lomond's was, yeah, I've got it here too. So I think Ben Lomond's was, 83 on the front cost, and then
Right. And
is
then
10,000, about 10,000 a month.
10,072.
Yeah, and then the installation was like 12,000.
So you have to add the 83 and the 12, and that would be your one-time cost.
Right. So, that's where, I think we need to do some more negotiation. Of course, I'd like to, talk with Ben Lomond to see how they're, what their feeling is. Same way with ENA, they went room to room. I don't know if Ben Lomond's done that yet,
They did.
so they did that.
They did, but I
Okay.
just don't know if they factored in, we have some rooms, if you have a computer in the room, then you don't need any extra wiring. But there were some rooms that had a phone now, but they're using a regular phone jack, and now they would need a network drop. So there were some additional, and I don't know if they factored that in. That's what we're gonna have to talk about in the morning, or one of the things.
And, even if we start recouping the cost, the 137,000, if we get the lower line fee and we start recouping the cost, that's gonna, virtually cut our phone, we're gonna have existing equipment, but it's gonna cut our phone bill down to about 123,000, where we're paying about 260 right now. So that's less than either ENA or the Ben Lomond voiceover bill. So, I think that's where we start, in my opinion. That's where we start, and then we start working toward going that direction. And then, I've talked with other, school systems that it works very well in. I still want to get with, some with Ben Lomond that large like us, that it's working with them now, and how that works and what the installation is. So I think we got some more work to do, but the first thing I'd like to do is start working on the contracts with Ben Lomond, bring them back, and then start recovering the cost.
Now, we're locked in contract with them currently right now until January,
Until
February.
March 1. I think we gotta leave them, I think the contract is, you have to do 30 days notice, so we would have to give notice by February 1st.
So we're really not in any rush right now to do that.
No, right at this point, no. I don't think so. I think we need to, do our due diligence, make sure everything's gonna work. I'd like to pilot it, make sure it's gonna work here before we start going into schools. But the thing that we can do right now is, cut the cost of what we're paying right now.
Bobby, with three vendors, it's all gonna be voiceover, whatever.
Yeah, that's what we did the RFP for, was voiceover.
Okay.
Right, and I think that's what we definitely need to start moving toward.
Well, all I can say is that State Farm several years ago moved to a Cisco voiceover system, and it has been very, very satisfactory.
Mhm.
It has been the quality, the sound quality, and it's a very robust system with excellent availability. Availability, just through the roof. It's been excellent. I can offer that personal testimony. We're very happy with our Cisco system.
Well, and like I said, I want to get to the best system that's going to be for us. But, I know right now we don't have any extra funds to start putting into that on the front end. So I want to know what it's going to cost us to do that. And then the first thing we can do is we can work with our current vendor, which has been Lomond, to get the cost down, and then answer the questions we need to answer, and then move forward.
I think the saving over $100-something thousand
Yeah, gotta
dollars
get
a
it
year.
done.
They definitely, when they rebid went out, they definitely cut the bid.
Yeah, they can do
From $260-something thousand dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me they're really wanting to work with us.
Well, I appreciate Bobby and Katrina and everybody else who's
wanting to move this along. I don't think this would have happened just if we let nature take its course.
No, I mean, I know we've looked at it, and I'll be the first to say, I'm a little bit more cautious than most, and that kind of frustrates our folks a little bit, but, you know, I know they may be quicker to jump than I am, and I'm just want to make sure that we do the right thing on the front end, because the worst thing we could do with either vendor is to install it in 12 buildings and have problems, and it puts more work on her, which she has no more time to do any more work than what she's doing right now. I mean, the state makes sure that she's busy with everything that she has to do, and but I do, you know, rely on and respect her opinion, and you know, whatever we get, she's going to make work, you know, whichever one it is. So, but I just would, you know, want to slow it down a little bit, make sure we ask the right questions, do the right thing. But we can do the contracts. That's not going to cost us anything. And, you know, we want to make sure that we don't lock ourselves into something long term. So.
But next February, we will make a transition.
Well, I think that's the plan.
You know,
I think that's the plan. I would hope before February.
Okay.
Yeah, I would hope before that. Okay. So, that's okay. That's what we'll start working on. Okay. All right, we'll go forward with that. The next item is the certification. It's the National Association of State Directors of Teacher Education Certification Clearinghouse Access Program. This came from the State Department, and what this is a different, it's an extra background check for anybody who would apply a teaching job for us. If they did come, we always do an FBI and a TBI background check. This will just add another layer to that. It's I think the state has the contract that you see there. It's $700 for a year, and it would plug it into a national database. So when we did a background check on a teacher, that it would check not only, you know, TBI, FBI, but it would, you know, make sure it checks any teacher that goes through that clearinghouse. I just wanted to, you know, bring it to your attention. You know, I think it would not be a bad thing to have it as an extra layer, but wanted to just get the board's opinion on what they thought about that. So.
Extra's always good, but I was just wondering, have we had any problems that it would have presented? I mean,
not really. Not really. I don't think it has. We've not had anything that's really come back. I mean, we've had, you know, teachers' background checks come back that we needed to look into a little bit more. And, but, you know, truthfully, I'm not advocating for it or against it. It came out. I wanted to make sure you all had an opportunity to see it. But I think what we're doing right now works well. And if you think we need an extra, you know, check, then we could do that. But, you know, we've not had any problems with it.
$700 a year.
$700 a year.
So what's your recommendation?
Well, you know, like I said, I've not seen anything that points me to really go to it. But I did think it was an opportunity to look and see if the board wanted another background check, that we could do it at a lower cost. But truthfully, I would not recommend doing it right now. I don't see a reason to.
Okay.
But just wanted you to have it. If you thought differently, then we could go that way. So, all right. The next item is the SCORE Rewards Video Board we talked about last month. Robin checked that out. She has gone through the contract that they sent us. I think she marked out the indemnity part of the contract, and she felt like everything was good to go with that. And I've got Todd here if you want to ask him any questions. But you know, basically what this would be is not, and I'll make this very clear, it's not a scoreboard, it's a video board. So the scoreboards that Dr. Pepper has donated to all of our buildings, including the high school, those are still intact. It does not cost us anything. It does not cost us any money. The school system money, it would be paid for by vendors, and Videocom would be the one that would recruit the vendors, and the only thing that we would do, our maintenance folks would assist in putting up the board in the gym. So, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else you?
Yeah, it's something that we could also use for anything that happens in the gym. The video board could be used. I mean, you could do. I was saying the other day, like a fundraiser for. The big thing now is trivia night. You could have a trivia night in the gym. You could have a movie night in the gym. You could do several fundraising type activities with it. So it's not just sitting there unused when we're not in basketball season. So it's just gives us a couple opportunities to do some things outside of athletics.
And go ahead.
Have you approached anybody in the community or anybody to see what kind of feedback you get from the interest?
I have not, but the company, that's what they do. They'll do a luncheon, and essentially he said if they get the vendors, they move forward. If they don't, they just let it go. So.
Bobby, did we, and Todd, we were looking at one board or two boards. And I think the contractor said that if he got the interest, we'd do two boards, but we need to.
I don't know that we'd have space for two boards.
Yeah, we currently don't have space for two boards, but we'd have to take all those championship banners down to make room for the second board. And we'd actually have to move the little Pioneer painting.
Yeah, also.
Yeah, we'd have to move to the next wall. I mean, it still fit.
And I don't know if we've not discussed this since early in the week, but as far as affecting other booster clubs, things of that type.
No.
Okay.
Would not impact them. I mean, just give them, they could still do the same little $200, $300, $500 board if they wanted that in addition to this. Or the thing that Blake mentioned to me is in the past when they kept people out of the opportunity to be on this, they've been rather upset, especially someone, I thought, that we don't need to bother Dr. Pepper, they do so much for us, but he said actually that's going to be a prime person because he's going to be upset if he doesn't have the opportunity to at least say no.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that's something we need to consider.
Okay.
One last question, speaking of video displays, in the lobby, we do not have a big flat screen monitor in the lobby, do we?
The gym lobby?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. There's
Charlie
one above the concession stand.
Yes, sir.
There's one above the concession stand.
Okay, I didn't remember, okay.
We use it for school announcements, things like that. It runs, it's on a continuous feed, runs all day.
We were gonna put one in the other lobby too, but they didn't seem to think there was a place for it.
No way to feed the game into this.
Yeah, that was the idea. I thought we could feed the game, if we could serve that flat screen with the video from the game. People visiting your concession stand or out in the lobby.
Yeah.
Some places they do that. You got real-time display.
We actually have we've got a video camera mounted in the ceiling that our games are available to view through NFHS networks, National Federation of High Schools, and we could probably, if I could get internet access to that television, I could display that game through that camera feed anytime we had a home game.
Well, I think that would enhance the spectator experience.
All the right people here. Can we do that?
Yeah, can we do
There you
that?
go. There's just one more thing for Katrina.
Yeah, we can do that. I knew that was good.
But yeah, I think, that's fine. We'll try to do that. That
There-
just
there'd be
caused
a
some
little-
wiring.
Yeah, be a little, maybe a little latency issue though, but maybe.
Yeah, we can raise them.
I usually put the game on in my office, you know, when we have a home game, I pull up that NHS feed and just let the game run, and it's a nice setup. I mean, you can see, you know, good view of the court and see everything, so it'd be nice to put it on that.
You know, when you're going, getting your nachos and cheese or your hot dog or whatever, you might want
Might miss a big shot.
to, you might, that's right.
I mean, Robin's looked at it, if Todd's good with it, the board's good with it, I'm fine with, you know, trying to go that route. I think it'll enhance our gym and, you know, I don't, it's not even gonna be any cost to us. And whatever we get above that 12,000 mark that I understand goes back into the athletic program. So, you know, I think it's a win-win for us and at no cost, and I'm fine with recommending it.
When would we want to start, you know, I guess you contact them and tell them let's go ahead, and then they would set the maybe date for the luncheon. I
Yes.
guess that's how
Yes,
you
ma'am.
started.
You know, we would just
He was-
notify, yes.
He said to let him know if it was, you know, if you got the approval tonight, just contact him tomorrow and he would start working on
I make a motion that we approve the contract and move forward.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
A second.
Are there any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. We'll work toward getting our video board up. I think the next item is let's see, get back to my Tennessee Middle School Athletic Association. I think Todd provided the information in your packet, so I'm going to let him, he knows a lot more about that than I do. So you want to talk about a little bit about what that is and how it would affect the program?
Okay, the middle school has toyed with this idea for several years, and for whatever reason, they were to the point of doing it, I think, 2 years ago, and then at the last minute decided not to. But really, all for us, TMSAA is just the middle school equivalent to our high school Tennessee Athletic Secondary School Athletic Association. So I think it's just a governing body that makes sure we're doing things correctly. You know, we're following certain guidelines, certain bylaws, make sure all our coaches are certified coaches and doing the right things. I think it's just a way for us to ensure that we've got just as quality of program at the middle school, which I'm not saying that we haven't in the past, but just ensures that we're following pretty much the same guidelines we do at the high school. So there's no issues when a student athlete comes to the high school. There are most of the schools that are in the CTC, which we've been in for quite some time, also have gone to TMSAA, and I just think it would be, you know, something good for us to follow suit with. Also, you know, there's only 3 state championships available at the middle school level through TMSAA, but they are going to start providing adding sports each year. They'll go with a female sport the following year, then a male sport, and just do it like that. So eventually, all sports that are sanctioned by them will have an actual state championship. So I think that's a positive thing to look for. Give our kids an opportunity to strive towards. So I really don't see a downside to it. There is a cost involved, and I know that was an issue with some of the schools, and I think our goal is just to let athletics pay those dues for them. So we do it at the high school, so there's no reason we shouldn't do it for the middle school and the K-8 schools that would be part of it as well. So
What is the cost? What is the membership?
it's $300. It'd be $300 per school. So unfortunately, all the K-8 schools, since they co-op with the middle school, we would have to pay the $300 for each of them as well. So about $1,800 would cover.
But the schools would raise the funds that come out of their athletic fund.
We'll just use the athletic fund we use for the county to pay that.
This is annually.
Yes.
$1,800.
Yes.
That sounds like
Was there a cost with the other program that you were, or we weren't not in another program?
CTC?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what if there was an annual cost for them or not, but they're, the beauty of this, it also gets us, just like the high school, catastrophic insurance on all our student athletes. So anything to do with an athletic event or a school event where we're traveling to and from, or a child is, heaven forbid, hurt during an athletic event, this catastrophic insurance will kick in over and above normal insurance, and that's something CTC does not provide. So I think that would be a positive as
Well,
well.
Mr. Chairman, I think I hear in Todd's voice kind of a recommendation. I'm hearing you're kind of containing your enthusiasm, I know.
Yes, sir.
But,
Well, I'm just I'm a big proponent of TSSA, and I think they do things the right way. And I think if we could get our middle school in the fold, it would be, long-term, it'd be beneficial for everybody.
I would be, I mean, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I just want to make sure, does this, would this have any adverse effect on any of our K-8 programs or anything like that?
No. The only impact or negative impact it will have is on the countywide team we just got moving last year. So we could continue to do that if our K-8 program was willing to do, have a more, and this is a word coming from TMSAA, an intramural type basketball league, which I don't know. I try to get them to define intramurals, because we could say that our league is intramural right now, but I don't think that's a little gray. So I think the best thing is just to move on without the countywide, and I think long term it's going to be better off for more athletes than just a small amount.
So each one of our K-8s would be in the TMSAA as well as the middle school.
Correct.
We just wouldn't have the countywide team, and they could play in the
The
association.
K-8 basketball league would stay the same. Nothing would change there, other than the changes we made last year to
Right.
where we had the 6 or 8 number teams now.
Right. I'm fine with that. I just want to make sure that that we didn't do anything that.
And I did get approval. The K-8 principals are aware of it, and every one of them essentially said, as long as it doesn't impact our current basketball league, we're fine with it. So.
I'm not hearing any downside to this, so, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to move to adopt the move to the TMSAA.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Todd, for being here on both of those items. Next item is school bus seat restraint grant. I provided that for you in your packet, and I have spoken with, I'm trying to do a lot of research on that as well. This is a grant program through the state. The intent, the letter to apply, the intent to send the letter of intent is by June the 29th. The program, I think they're, trying to look to see, it's a $3 million non-recurring fund statewide out of the governor's budget this year. So I've talked with Durham as well, and to see how they would feel about the topic of seat belts on school buses. I think they say that they said that their buses you have to have a certain frame mechanism to put the seat belts in the buses, and their buses come already ready for seat belts in their buses. Of course, some of the buses that we own that would be older would, if we wanted to go that route, we would have to retrofit. If we did get the grant, then, that would be something that would be a financial decision ongoing down the road. Because when those grant funds ran out and we wanted to maintain putting the belts on there, it's about, $10,000, I think they said, or a little bit more to outfit a bus with seat belts. One bus. So it is a financial concern. I don't see any harm in filling out the letter of intent and saying that, hey, we're looking into this, and then we can decide, you know, if we want to go forward with that. But, you know, I've also talked with Ray Robinson. Of course, everybody knows Ray, and he is the guy that, you know, obviously lives here and is the person who inspects school buses. You know, and I think he would be willing to come and talk with us if we wanted to. But that's one of the concerns that he had, was that, you know, if it's a $3 million grant statewide, you're probably not going to get enough to outfit all of your buses, and it could be a financial concern going forward. But if we don't get approval to put the letter of intent in, then we're out to begin with. If we send the letter of intent and decide not to do it, then that's the board's decision. But that's why I wanted to bring it to you tonight. So
I'm completely in favor of this. I've always been a big fan of seat belts, you know. We all wear them, race car drivers wear them, you know, and I guess there are some arguments against it, but, you know, when you say it's a financial thing, you know, I still remember those old videos that they used to show us of buses rolling over and kids flying everywhere, you know, and, but yeah, I would go ahead and make the motion that we put the letter of intent, and that's not commitments we can earn more before, but yeah.
that's good.
Oh, I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to submit the letter of intent on the seat belts. Are there any further discussion?
How many buses do we have?
At 55 that we run every day. We have, I think we have actually more buses than that, because Durham supplied some of those, and we sell those off as we need to. But 55 are on route every day.
Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, now that motion is adopted, maybe between this evening and the time that we'll be actually doing the application, maybe we could see, Bobby, what the latest research and studies and recommendations. I'm assuming that the Tennessee Department of Safety, Ray Robinson, they do recommend that we do this.
Yeah, well, I don't think the state has a recommendation one way or the other, you know, right now. I think they'll supply us with the research about that. And I will certainly get that from him. And he said, you know, if he needed to come, he would be willing to come, you know, and talk to the board about that. You know, just the conversation that he and I had, which I agree, there's a lot of people on the fence about should you or should you not. You know, but if there's a accident, or the bus for some reason catches on fire, seat belts with an elementary child could be a problem.
Right.
You know, but you know, in an instance that a bus like in Chattanooga has an accident where it rolls over, it could save lives. So, and I think there are a lot of times there's more accidents that happen where another vehicle is hitting a bus, or a bus is in a position where it might roll over, than there is where the student or a bus catches on fire.
Right.
So I think that's something to look at. You know, either way, you know, lives could be lost, but I don't think it harms us to look into it and get the research on it.
Well, you know, instinctually, I totally agree with Teddy, because the likelihood of some kind of kinetic event is a lot higher than bus catching on fire, particularly with the improved safety and the design of buses. But you know, if you do have some research, or the Department of Safety can supply some research, so we can look at it. But I mean, right now, if I had to make a decision right now, I would say yes, definitely go with seatbelts.
So I can tell you, I remember when I saw the video when the bus rolled over right there at the end of the county line in Deborah, where we went into the area, it goes in there and it's right on the county line. I saw that video where that bus come around and rolled over, and those kids went flying through the air. And it was just like they had no chance.
Yeah.
We were lucky that they weren't any more serious injuries in their work. But that was certainly an opening, it opened my eyes to the seatbelt thing. The only thing I questioned, like Bobby said, if we ever had a bus that had a fire on it, had small kids on it, who's gonna get that belt unbuckled and get them off? And it may be, you might have to look down the road, that our buses may have to have an aid on every one of them to assist something like that if it ever happened, if it was possible. I mean, there's a lot of scenarios, but still, I totally agree that, and that's it, about seatbelts on buses.
We'll get the letter sent in.
Okay.
And, see, and I'll get the research and then we'll go from there. And the last item I think on report tonight is the Equity, Tennessee Leaders for Equity Playbook, and I handed that out last month to let everybody take a look at. If you had an opportunity to take a look at it, we are integrating this into our social emotional learning meetings that we have this summer. And Robin has developed a PowerPoint integrating some of those items in there. So we're going to try to use it in that fashion, but just again, wanted to see if the board had any comments or questions about that, or if you had anything you'd like to.
I looked at it, I think it's something that, to keep, we're moving forward in our system.
Right.
And I think when you implement some of those things in it, it still continues to move us forward.
That's what we want to do. The social emotional learning and the positive behavior support that we've been doing has really been, taken off. We've seen good things from it. This gives us another opportunity to pick and choose from that, what we use. But as if there's anything in particular, as you see that or have more opportunity to look at that you want us to incorporate, let us know, and we'll incorporate that in as well.
But the way it talks is, and correct me, it's not only the administration, but it's the board, it's the teachers, it's everybody together with their thoughts in it together to move it forward.
And it's designed in a way that the board and our leadership can pick and choose what we do. It's not a mandate, it's not a requirement, it doesn't cost us any money. It's just how can we best incorporate it into our system. And that's the way we feel like is the best way to do that, just through our strategic plan and social emotional learning. Okay, that's all we have.
Have a motion on that.
No, and just wanted to put that out for everybody's.
Okay, all right. We're going to move right on to the curriculum report, Mr. Zegman.
Okay, before we got to that, and it'll be real quick this evening, Mr. Chairman, on curriculum achievement, but on our schedule, we've got the personnel report. Of course, we all got the personnel actions in the board package, but I'm just reminded, I don't want to feel like I'm obsessing over this, but the resignation of the high school math teacher, and see that the middle school band director, who is, on her first year in the job here?
I think so.
And now she's gone.
We've replaced both of those.
Oh, okay, that answers my question.
There you go.
And are you happy with the applicants?
We have been. We've hired a new math teacher, and we have two of our other middle school teachers that are going back and getting their certification.
Okay.
So that's a good thing. And then we moved up a person that was doing our itinerant band into the middle school band position. So we're very fortunate.
Where did you poach the math teacher?
Actually from a private school.
Oh, okay. Well, good for you.
I don't know, we poached her.
Well,
We just,
I'm sorry, Rob.
we're happy to have her.
Oh, okay. Just let it go with that.
So, there you go. There you go.
Good, very good. Well, okay, on curriculum and achievement, we've got one action on first reading, and that's the board's self-evaluation, code BAA, and basically, I'm sure you've all read this, basically, the board members are just committing themselves to the annual review of the 5-year strategic plan. to be updated. It calls for input and critique from every board member. Calls for a consensus on the 5-year plan and any conclusions. And one thing that the policy doesn't explicitly say, and that's about sharing this with the public, but I know that Bobby through the school system website does that. So I'm going to move for adoption on first reading of BAA Board Self-Evaluation.
I have a motion on first reading to adopt policy BAA. Do I have a second?
I second.
Are there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, the only other item is on second reading, the attendance policy JD. Now that attendance policy covers a lot of territory, including truancy, tardies, the definition of perfect attendance, makeup work, things of that sort. There's a lot under the attendance policy, but we looked at that at the last meeting on first reading, so I'm going to move for adoption on second reading of policy JD, attendance policy.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And that's all for curriculum this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Jones?
Facilities Resources met before the meeting. We had an update of the pedestrian bridge at Warrington Middle School. It's down, and work continues. The work at Bobby Ray is full steam ahead with Building B demo, and we had a good discussion of various plans for the West School and came up with a direction for Upland to focus on at West, the plan there. I'd like to make a motion to accept the ESIF window coverings for Morrison's plan that passed through committee, and just like to make a motion that we accept that no-cost proposal for Morrison in the vein of school spirit.
I make a motion.
Okay, we've had a motion to accept the Marson School plan for the covering of their windows. Do I have a second?
And that is, I'm sorry, I wanted somehow to amend that with the exception that we see the plan before it's
Of course.
put up.
Yes. And
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
I second. Are there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
The only other business from the Facilities and Resources was that they were working on, we got the submitting for the Safe Schools grant has been submitted, and inspections are done, and we're looking at plans along with Upland and Donnie on vestibules. I've used that word a lot more, like vestibule. For the schools with school safety and involved there. So that was just discussed and work continues with those. And that's all from the Facilities and Resource.
Okay, any other business to bring before the board?
Let me just make a real quick announcement. A development today in the U.S. Supreme Court could have a very positive impact on school finances, public school financing. You may have heard that the Supreme Court on a 5-4 count, it seems like everything's 5-4 in the Supreme Court these days, but basically struck down the old principle that online retailers were essentially exempt from state sales taxes if they did not have what they say, a brick and mortar presence in that state. The Supreme Court decision today looks like all the online sellers will be brought into the tax system. And of course, since in Tennessee, and this is true in I think the majority of states, far and away the biggest part of public school finances from sales tax. So if the Tennessee legislature does the right thing, okay, that's an unknown, but if they do the right thing, then I think that Tennessee schools stand to benefit considerably. And it's also a matter of fairness to our local businesses who pay taxes here and who support our schools. And they're competing in a very uneven playing field against the online retailers. So I think the Supreme Court decision today is very significant. We'll see how it plays out.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
We're adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Sir.